Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world of ours, and welcome to the exciting installment of Darkness in Dublin. Manny, the Boggin, is wending and twisting his way through the dreaming this sunny afternoon. The chimerical sun does indeed shine down, warming your face and making it feel as though everything is just that 10% more fairy tale like than it probably should be. But then again, welcome to the dreaming. Ahead of you, you will see a large steampunkoid castle that looms over you multiple stories into the air. You see twisting cogs and grinding gears. Steam is hissed from portents and pistons with a crack hissing noise every couple of seconds. It's not unpleasant to look at, but it's definitely a, oh my, this is just in the middle of everything kind of moment. But there it looms.
So Manny will have sent word to Tintagel through various means, however he could, that he was coming. But as he approaches the castle, Manny's heard several things about Tintagel's castle, but seeing it in person, especially in the dreaming, this giant castle operated by a series of cogs and levers and busy activity, Manny will just stop. Like he was walking towards the castle, he'll just stop and stare very intensely, and he's absolutely fascinated by this. And he actually reaches into one of his pockets in his Famian. He's got like kind of builder's workman's clothes on, like a leather jerkin, that sort of thing. And he'll reach into one of the pockets and he'll get a pencil and he'll actually get a little notebook that he has and he'll start writing notes kind of excitedly, kind of chewing one end of the pencil as he's kind of drawing and laying things out.
You will immediately notice that there are two huge figures outside the castle. One of them is gold, and the other of them is silver. And they're each holding halberds that are crossed over. They appear to be statues.
So, after doing a really brief sketch of the castle, very brief, Manny'll actually walk towards the statues. He'll approach them.
The gold one moves quite quickly, actually, than you were expecting, with a hiss of steam, brings its halberd down to the ground, and it looks down at Manny. Bear in mind, this thing is about a good 15 feet tall, and it looks down at him. Blink, blink.
Oh!
Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Hodger Grumblesnatch, known in the autumn world as Manny. I'm here to see His Excellency, if he's free.
Do you have an appointment, sir?
He'll kind of look through his notebook, just a couple of pages through. I believe so. Yes. I spoke with His Excellency a few weeks ago. He said he was going to help me learn more about the Changeling world. He'll kind of look through and he'll find somewhere in his notebook where he's probably got like a day planner where he's written the dates because Manny is the person that he is. And he'll actually turn his little notebook and pass it, towards a giant golem for inspection. I mean, bearing in mind it's 15 feet, he'll kind of raise the book as high as he can, which is about probably 4 or 5 feet in his Famian. It's not high.
There's almost an exasperation sigh as the thing kind of bends down. You hear the kind of as it bends, and it looks down, and it looks into the notebook. It will say, "Very good, sir. Please step inside." As he says that, he and the silver one withdraw their halberds from the door. So you hear the shing as the very, very sharp metal moves against itself.
Is just by looking at them and watching them work, is there anything Manny can can ascertain or learn about them just by looking?
You would assume from once again, you will assume more than likely they are basically created chimera. So
Mhm.
essentially, Tintagel created these things from chimerical metal in order to serve the purpose of being his door guardians. Clearly,
Yeah. Yeah. Manny will just give a short, kind of very polite nod. Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. He'll quietly follow, and as he follows, again, he's really quiet, and his neck is craned up. I mean, mostly because he's like 4 foot, 5 foot in his Famian. He's not tall, so he's just kind of looking at the scale of everything. And to him, it's absolutely huge, and he is absolutely awed. And just because I like flavor text, I'm gonna roll and see if he manages to sketch anything worthy. To do a quick. It's not his thing, so I'll put a +1 diff on it. But that would be a Dex Crafts, probably, I think, right? He's just like sketching out what he sees. Dex Crafts. Ooh, yeah. So he does like a fairly good rendition in the short time he was allowed to kind of get a view. It's not detailed, it's more kind of impressionistic, if you know what I mean. It's not like he's getting exact details of where things are. It's more, the idea of it. But he'll have put like the book in his kind of pocket, but he'll have the pencil out, and he's still kind of chewing on the end nervously as he approaches. He feels very out of place here.
the huge double doors will open in front of you. You hear the creak as they do so, and you then hear a kind of a comical noise, and then a kind of a noise. As you walk through the door, you will see three tiny robots, roughly only about 1 foot tall, who were stood clearly on each other's shoulders as they opened the door.
Yeah, Manny's head will do like a full kind of swivel, like as he's passing. He's still kind of chewing nervously on his pencil. He's probably halfway through it by now, but he'll just stop for a second and he'll glance at them. Thank you very much. He'll nod and keep shuffling past.
You will be faced via a large, sweeping double staircase that goes up to the left and up to the right. And then in between the two prongs of the staircase, there's a large, open double door. Again, smaller than the front door, but still quite large. As you kind of putter into the room, you will notice the fact that you're standing in a long, great hall. The Great Hall itself has a table that has been set up that you guess could easily seat 100 people. Um, there is a fire that's crackling away in the hearth. Despite the fact it's quite warm outside, actually appear to be very, very warm, even with the fire, because it's so gigantic. But the fire adds a nice kind of crackling touch. The very, very, very impressive things you'll see on the above you, high above you, are there are at least 20 stained glass windows, 10 to each side of the room, that depict noble Shi doing great deeds. So you see one slaying a dragon, you see another seated on a throne, surrounded by with a crown on their head. These kind of great heroic images. And then at the very end of the hall, there's a raised dais upon which two chairs are set, two throne-like chairs, and behind them there's another stained glass window that shows two Shi dancing with one another. One of them is clearly Tintagel, and another is a female Shi who I don't think you've ever met. You will see that Count Tintagel himself is seated at a desk just at the foot of the dais, and you can see he's scribbling on papers. There's a troll standing right to the side of him, to the left, who is constantly just handing him papers that he keeps signing or writing on. But as you enter, you'll see both eyes look up as the doors swing closed behind you, slightly ominously.
So nothing subtle, just yeah, Manny will probably kind of nervously like jump a little bit. Um, you know, again, he's chewed through this pencil by now. He's put it away. He's like just jumped, oh, and then he kind of looks up to all of the stained glass windows, and for like a couple of seconds, he's completely awed. He's very much examining every kind of mark, every like how the glass has been created and shaped, the colors that have been used, how it works with, the design of the hall. Manny's thinking about all of those things for a second, and then he remembers where he is. And as soon as he remembers where he is, he'll just kind of shake himself out of it, like, oh, I'm at Camp Tintagels. This is a serious thing. I should probably, be a good little commoner. But no, he'll immediately do the bow as he approaches. He'll walk towards Tintagel, but he won't approach him directly, and he'll just give a very big bow, almost like to his feet. Your Excellency.
You'll see him snap a book closed in his hands, and he'll put down the pen. He'll put down the pen in the ink. He's using kind of a nibbed quill or a nibbed pen to write, which he'll place down in the inkwell, and he'll say, You actually can tell he has difficulty remembering your name.
Yeah, please forgive me, Your Excellency. It was a while since we last spoke. My name is Hodge Grumblesnatch, known in the Autumn World as Manny.
My apologies, Master Hodge. He will say as he leans back in his doors to Hodger. My apologies, Master Hodger. My mind's in a dozen different places at once. Would you care to sit down?
Yes, of course, Your Excellency. He'll scramble. It'll take him a while to walk to the desk with his little legs, but he'll try. And as he's kind of walking up, he's still kind of looking up almost. I can imagine it takes a lot of effort to run this place. It's beautiful. Did you design it yourself, Your Excellency?
Myself and my wife designed this place. It was the combination of many years of work.
He'll nod. I can see the stained glass windows are magnificent. If I may ask, is that you and your wife in the window? He'll smile and
yes. This the stained glass is my wife's creation. I must admit, I always had head for mechanization and stone, but she to do wonders with glass. So every duke will choose their path.
He'll sit down and he'll nod. I'll have to forgive me, Your Excellency. I'm simple folk, but it seems to me that everyone has their own path or craft that they must work at. Some can shape glass like water. Some can do great things like yourself with rock and stone and metal. I was impressed by the guardians at the gate. It seemed really advanced.
Ah, yes. Tick and talk are rather like that.
If you don't mind me, he'll just ask, if you don't mind me asking, how do they work?
You'll see him lean back in his chair, and he'll kind of tense his fingers, and he says, "Before I answer that, may I offer you some refreshment, something to eat or drink, perhaps?"
Uh, That's very kind, Your Excellency. I would like that.
He kind of motions with a finger, and you see the troll kind of stand from where they're leaning, and they will go and fill a goblet with wine and place it down in front of Manny.
Nod. Thank you, Your Excellency. I hope I didn't interrupt you. Did not interrupt you during important matters.
Not at all. I was merely seeing some overdue business. As I said, where are my manners? Welcome to my home. You asked me about the nature of my Cade Guardians.
He'll nod. I was just curious, Your Excellency. I have seen Chimera before, but not molded in such a fashion, I suppose.
It's rather simple. Chimerical reality is the reality of the dream. If you're able to shape the dream, then you're able to master the dream. Since I merely shape the ephemera, the dream stuff that is given to us by dreaming, the dreams of all, in order to create what it is I need. So, for example, TikTok will create metal ground ground from deep within the dreaming until it was they were created and there they stand to serve purpose.
Manny'll nod, kind of following along. That seems to make sense to me. It still boggles the mind how the potential for inspiration within the dreaming. He'll nod. If you don't mind me asking, how did you decide or find out that metalwork and stonework was your path? Did that come from your work before as an architect, or was it something you found, Your Excellency?
He will say, something you must understand. Master Hodge. The fact of the matter is that when a she comes into being, we are different to an ordinary chrysalis. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or no.
Manny'll nod. Please forgive me for my ignorance, Your Excellency. I of course know that the she are born with great nobility and great responsibility, though the details escape me. I unfortunately have not had much contact with she.
Well, allow me to give you this explanation. He'll point a finger at you and he'll say, when you came back from your prayer incarnation, you melded with your host. Your bodies, essentially, the soul and body melded together at the moment of Christmas. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Excellency.
When she returns from Arcadia, he hollow out the body remains.
He'll nod, trying to follow along. Excellency, what?
I choose to put that from my perspective. That would be genuinely horrifying if you choose to think of it as horror.
Yeah, that's what Manny's questioning. Manny kind of tilts his head like he's trying to process it. You can kind of see the cogs in his head turning. You know. Forgive me, Your Excellency, you mean you get to choose the body, or?
No, not as such. More so, when it is that I, Count Tintagel, came to inhabit this body, the previous occupant, a man named Jeremiah Collins, ceased to be. I took on his life, his form, his body, but he ceased to be, and Count Tintagel was. Whereas, when you came into existence, Hodge blended with Manny, and the two became one entity.
Yeah, he'll he'll follow along. That seems to make sense, Your Excellency, though. Must be a strange transition, I suppose, or at least it would for me. I mean, I was just before my chrysalis, I just had a normal life, and then I found out that there was this other part of me, and they've always been one. I suppose that's again is
That's not strictly
Mhm.
true. You were you up until a moment, not two entities. You were one entity. However, in the moment of your chrysalis, the two became one and joined together. Do you understand the difference?
I believe so.
Hmm. As I said, the change is different for each person, but in that moment, Manny and Hodge became one person, one entity in that moment of your chrysalis. And you chrysalis because, well, you achieved something or you were suitable for the soul. And that is how the dreaming determined that you would receive the soul.
He'll kind of he'll actually have a small he'll have a small smile at that. It's so it's so it's like I have the soul, a small flame of something inside of me, and we're together. That's a comforting thought, I suppose. But it lives on.
Yes, and when you die, assuming you do not die at the hands of cold iron, it is that the soul of Hodge will move on to the next person in the chain.
And he'll nod. That makes sense, Your Excellency. I've heard I've heard of some changelings, like of some like us who can remember thousands and thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago into their past lives.
I
And
assure you, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
he'll nod.
That bastard Merlin still owes me a goat and 20 gold pieces.
he'll actually he'll actually relax a little and he'll chuckle. I mean, I suppose you could probably buy a lot with gold pieces and a goat back then.
You're not wrong.
So
Never get drunk and make promises to prodigals about forging a sword for the once and future king. It ends sadly for all involved.
he'll nod. He'll nod. Okay, sounds very wise, Your Excellency. Don't make promises. Don't make promises they can't keep to prodigals. That ends badly. And be careful before. Be careful if making deals with mermen. Mermen? He'll tilt his head.
Merlin.
Ah. Yeah, he looked a little like
Well, he kind of raises his eyebrow. You know that I forged Excalibur, right?
whoa.
Hmm. Back in the Golden Age.
You did?
Hmm.
Like, please forgive me, forgive the ignorant question, but was it like in the movies? You know, a sword in a stone, a broadsword?
Oh, they always leave me out of the stories. Yes, in a manner of speaking, the sword was originally given to a man named Uther Pendragon because Merlin had this great idea. He actually does the kind of jazz hands for emphasis. And he'll say, basically, I created the sword that it could only be wielded by the man who would be worthy to be king. And when Uther proved he was not worthy to be king, the sword was stuck in the stone until such time as the individual who was worthy to wield it came along. That was one of my better pieces of work.
It sounds like a complicated process.
It took me a year and a day to make, so yes.
I mean, just thinking how would the sword be able to determine who was a worthy king or not, and also knowing when to release itself and when not to.
I wove into it a great gios, a power of promise.
Mhm,
So it was that it could only be wielded by the hands of the worthy.
mhm. You'll nod. Did the sword find a worthy owner? At least.
After a time, yes. Until it was that man passed into stories and passed into legend.
And for sword,
I don't know where it is nowadays.
have you ever looked for it, Your Excellency? I mean, it must be difficult to find. I mean, a sword could be anywhere, but
Ultimately, when I was done with creating it, it was no longer mine. I agreed to make it for someone else, and so it was made. It became theirs. It is my workmanship and it bears my mark, but it's no longer mine.
he'll nod along. I can I can I can understand that. Still, sometimes I like being able to see something I've created. It makes me feel nostalgic for you know the purpose I built it for. Sometimes it's a home I built for a new family, or it's something I made to inspire other people. No, I'm not sure how I would feel if I made something and I didn't know where it was. I suppose architects are quite lucky in that way. Our works are rarely missed.
Mm. Ultimately, if I build something for someone, it becomes theirs, and I don't have much of a sentimental attachment to it anymore. Admittedly, Excalibur was different because it is something that is known by most people, but then again, if I'm ever meant to see it again, I will see it again. If I'm not meant to see it again, I won't.
Hmm, Manuel, Manuel just follow along, like completely, like he's very interested. He's leant forward at this point. You know, he's not chewing the pencil anymore or super twitchy. He's just kind of wide eyed, like whoa. But then at the same time, it's kind of clearly out of his league of thought. He'll
Mhm.
like, but he'll nod. Well, well, I imagine it's a wonderful thing to have such an achievement to be capable of making such beautiful things, such functional items.
Ultimately, all items have beauty if you have the ability to see it.
I'd like to think so.
So, is there anything else I can do for you, Master Hodge?
He'll think for a second. In an official capacity, I'm afraid not, Your Excellency, but I believe last time we spoke you said you might be willing to teach me some of the finer aspects of changeling society, and I'd heard many things about your castle, and I had to see for myself.
Indeed, he'll say as he sits back in his chair, kind of penting his fingers together. Well, what is it that you need to learn? What is it I need to tell you?
Manny will kind of think for a second. Well, I suppose what I would ask is, I'm aware of how we're reborn into, and the soul is reborn into another body, and how we're aligned to different courts, and how we're each here to find our purpose, I suppose. But I just, think to himself. I suppose I'm interested in knowing why we're here in the Autumn World, and how we find our niche, our purpose, I suppose.
I honestly couldn't tell you that, Master Hodge.
Mhm.
As much as I'd like to, I don't know the answer.
He'll smile. That's something I'll have to figure out for myself. Apart from that, I was curious about the about the recent events that just happened. The plague. I heard about it, but I don't quite understand what happened.
In brief, as I do not wish to go over this in depth, lest it bring evil spirits or evil entities down upon us. Do you know? He stops and he thinks for a moment. Yes.
Mm.
You can see him. He's clearly he's trying to think how to phrase this.
Yeah, Manny's kind of patiently kind of sitting.
Evan's completely forgotten the name of them. They're not called Farlane. They're called. They're not called Garlane. They're called
Fallin?
Farlane. Thank you. He will say, "Do you know what a Farlane is?"
I'm afraid not, Your Excellency.
Well, think about the soul inside you, inside us all, the chrysalis soul. Essentially, a Farlane is what happens when that soul is born distorted, twisted, and inverted, broken and wrong.
Mhm.
One of these types of Farlane is called a typhus or typhoid. They are the bringers of great plagues and diseases that can infect changelings, but not only them, can also affect the freeholds in which we live.
Mhm.
Essentially, we were contending with one of those.
He'll nod. That seems to make sense. It's almost like in passing on, there's something broken, so they're like sick, and they make others sick too.
Correct.
How did how how did you all manage to eradicate or deal with them? Is there a way to put them back together again?
Unfortunately, not. He will leave that hanging there, intimating that it died out of character. I don't know how we dealt with it because that's one of the plot lines that auto resolved, basically.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Manuel just kind of he'll pause for a second, and then he'll almost kind of make himself have a bright smile, and he'll kind of perk himself up again, and so I'm sorry I had to deal with that, Your Excellency, but I'm glad things are better now. May I show you something I made?
By all means.
Yeah, he'll actually get his notebook out, and he'll flick to the page when he did the drawing of the kind of the front of the castle, and it's about a 3 or 4 success kind of drawing, and it's kind of a lot of it's just it's kind of almost like an architectural diagram. I think it would be. Titangelo would realize that very quickly, and he'll just kind of show it to you eagerly. It's very much like a child giving you a drawing to put on your fridge, It's like,
Tintagel looks down at the drawing and you'll see he's, for the record, as you get near, you'll notice that he has molten golden eyes. Like his eyes are like the same color as molten gold.
mhm.
But he'll look at the drawing and his eyes flick over the details very, very quickly before he'll nod and he'll say, "This shows promise, Master Hodge."
I'm afraid it's a very unsophisticated diagram, but just seeing this place for myself, I felt like I had to put it down into memory. So, one day I'd like to build houses for people in the dreaming. For those who are lost or need shelter. I don't think I could build something this grand, but
Ultimately, people need homes more than they need castles. Trust me.
here's smile. That's true for both serve their purpose.
Master Hodge, you have the freedom of my castle. Essentially, you may go where it is you wish to see what it is you wish to see. As I sense that you will be able to find something here, maybe that it is you're looking for. So feel free to be our guest for as long as you should see fit.
That's very kind of you, Your Excellency. He'll kind of smile very gratefully, actually. Hmm. If you wouldn't mind, would I be able to visit your library?
If you wish.
So, I've heard a little that it's a great library with a lot of works there. Maybe it'll help me find the answers I seek. I don't know. Like I said, Your Excellency, I'd like to continue the work I do in the Autumn World in the Dreaming. I'm just not sure how yet.
I'm sure that you'll find a way. It's just a matter of allowing the dream to become reality.
he'll kind of mull over that for a second. I suppose. Though I feel like I would have to unlearn everything I knew to be able to create something in the dreaming.
Then unlearn what you've learned.
He'll nod. Yeah, and then he'll just
He will start to look down at his paperwork again, and he'll say, "If that is all, I'll bid you good afternoon, Master Hodge."
and yeah, he'll remember where he is, and he'll be like, "Oh, of course, your excellency, please don't let me keep you from your work." He'll smile. Would I be able to leave any time, or is there anywhere I can't go, or you know?
Contemplates. Anywhere that you can't go would probably already be locked. So if there's a locked door, just don't try and beat it down, and you can leave whenever you like.
Manny'll smile. I'll keep that in mind, Your Excellency. Thank you for your time.
Think nothing of it. I shall wish you good luck in what it is you're looking for.
Yeah, he'll actually leave. He'll actually leave the drawing with you, probably. But no, he'll take his notebook and everything, and he'll do like he'll stand to attention and do a very kind of formal bow. And then he'll start to make his way out.
And with that, we shall end our scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene in Darkness in Dublin.